Neutral is a place of no movement. It means you're not making progress towards the goals or the ideas that are really important to you. Welcome to Beyond Neutral, where we talk about what gets you stuck and how we can shift and navigate the road forward. As leaders, as professionals in our careers, or just balancing and creating the kind of life you desire. I'm your host, Paula Reed. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to today's episode of Beyond Neutral. So my topic today is to talk about the challenges of rising in an organization, internal promotion. It's what most people strive for, right? I talk to people all day long who are looking to move up within organizations. And I have seen far too often, both from an executive search standpoint and in my coaching practice, I have seen far too often how people make the move from either being a functional leader into more of a general management role, or from a functional leader into a multi-function leader. So they were doing one function and now they're doing a couple things under that, right? Doing that internally and suddenly hitting a brick wall in their career and failing, or taking a real long time to come up to speed and succeed in such a way that it can stall their momentum in their career. And I want to talk a little bit about that, about the process of internal promotions and what it can potentially make that really challenging, and some things to think about as you think about ascending up the corporate ladder. So oftentimes, if you go from being a manager to a director in a functional area, it's not quite as challenging. It can have some of the same challenges, but where some of the really big challenges come in is when you move from that single functional area to a broader role. And why is that? You know, it's so interesting. I have been called in on numerous occasions to fill a senior level search and have been asked to evaluate the internal candidates as part of the talent pool, along with external candidates that I've presented. And I always find it so interesting how internal candidates can be valued differently, can be measured differently. And it's not intentional. It's kind of human nature, because you make so many assumptions about the people you know, and they're very different than the assumptions that you might make for an external candidate. An external candidate, you're looking at their resume, you're looking at the companies they worked for, you're making assumptions based on what you know about those organizations. And so you've got assumptions on both sides, but they're very different assumptions that are made when interviewing candidates for roles, be they internal or external. So the key thing here is, as an internal person who's stepping up to that real step that brings you to that broader role, what are some of the challenges that happen there that you need to think about? One of the big advantages that you bring as an internal candidate is that you already understand how the organization functions, right? You understand the internal language of the organization, so you don't need to learn that. You know the system, so you don't need to learn that. You understand the power dynamics and who the players are, and you know your way around the company. You've got relationships in there, and that's all the advantages. Those also can be the things that unknowingly trip you up, because the power dynamics and the relationships that you had when you were at this level in the organization shift significantly when you're at this level in the organization. Even though they're all the same people, even though they're all doing the same jobs, the way that they see you and what they're expecting from you is naturally different. And the way they see you is the same in spite of having different expectations for what you're going to bring or what you should be bringing. So on both sides of it, it's a very difficult double-edged sword to navigate at times. The pitfalls in that can be, first of all, assuming that you understand what success looks like in this new role, because you're understanding it from your role over here, either beneath it or next to it. And you're looking at it saying, well, this is what success would be over there. Knowing what success really is to the people who are going to determine may not be what you think it is when you're looking at it from a different viewpoint within the organization. So understanding that and aligning to that is absolutely critical as you prepare to ascend into this new role. So that's about the assumptions that other people bring and the assumptions that you bring. You also have to recognize that you're being expected to have a broader impact. You're moving into a role that has greater complexity and greater ambiguity. The people that you're calling on to support you in understanding that and to champion you, okay, and to mentor you may not be in that new capacity, and the relationships you have with them may not benefit you by being the same people you had to get you there. You may need to realign the way your alliances are within the organization. You may need to prioritize them in a different way. And the challenge from an internal promotion is you make the assumption that you don't. But when you all of a sudden are seeing, if you can imagine, if you're seeing, you're looking at this role from a very different perspective. So if you imagine that you work in a skyscraper and you're looking out your window and you're seeing the building next to you, that's how you're seeing it in your current role. Now you have to go up to the roof and you have to look down at that window. And what is the perspective you need to have now looking across to that window that you used to look across to directly, but now you're looking at from a very different vantage point? And being able to gain that broader picture and those broader alliances within the organization is critical to your success. As you grow your career internally, okay, the relationships that you have with people who were, our work friends, okay, they don't look at you the same way. Even if the role that you just took on has nothing to do with them. We all have relationships that are outside of our immediate area within an organization. Okay. And you've got those relationships and they're your friendships that you form through just working in proximity to other people. When you suddenly move up to a new role, even though you still have those relationships, because the power dynamic or the affiliations that you have internally are different, your relationship is by its very nature different. And a lot of times people have a terrible time adjusting to that. So you're assuming that you leave work on Friday in one job and you show up on Monday in another job and all your friends are still thinking of you in the same way, and they're not. Okay? The relationship may not be as comfortable. There may be topics that you can't touch on now, that you can't elaborate on, that aren't things that you should be discussing now, that before was just conversation that you had. Okay? All of those things shift, and it can be incredibly unsettling as it does. But your ability to navigate that is critical to your success in this new role. So as those relationships change, your own identity and the data that you use and how you think of yourself, those need to change as well. And that transition can be one of the most challenging transitions, because you're suddenly going to the same office every single day, going through the same routine every day, but expecting something so much different from yourself, and they're expecting so much different from you. The other thing that is human nature in internal promotions is the time to come up to speed. When somebody from the outside comes into an organization, everybody's all excited about the new perspective and the fresh ideas that this person brings in, okay? And they're given the luxury of coming up to speed within the organization before they make their stamp on it. And they're also given the luxury of, wow, this is a whole new fresh set of eyes looking at our systems or our processes or the way we think about our market. We really need to listen to them because they have new and innovative perspective and they're bringing something different to the table. So we're excited for them to look under the hood. Okay. When you're an internal hire and you're an internal promotion, first of all, they don't think it should take you very long to come up to speed because you've been in there and you should know all of this. You already know this. You worked within it. The people that promote you don't necessarily think about that new perspective that you have to develop. The other thing is, when you come in as an internal person and suddenly start bringing new ideas or new perspectives or wanting to change things up, what you're doing is you're calling into question the system that you have been an integral part of for many years. And your ability to talk about that and navigate that is far more challenging and different than somebody from outside the company. So understanding how you do that is critical to your success. And thinking about how you do that is critical to your success. Companies that develop talent and prepare them for the next level and really support them and work with them on what they need to know for that next level, they are phenomenal organizations in which to build your career and to build your skill set and to add new tools to your toolbox. Just don't assume that that's happened for you. Really step back and analyze whether you have gotten what you need to be successful in this new role and whether you really understand what that success is supposed to look like. Don't assume you know that because of the view you had when you were in one role. Make sure you confirm what that is in the view you have from your new role. That's my thought for the day. Navigating internal promotion. It's disturbing how often that can be more difficult than moving into a new role externally. Please take the time, think about this. I hope that's helpful as you're thinking about navigating some new challenges in your workplace. And if I can be of any help in talking about how to effectively transition into that, I'm always here to do that. I hope you're having a great day. Keep driving, and thanks for joining.